Anxiety, something that a lot of us deal with in some form, whether really intense or on the lower end of the spectrum. It is something that affects many people, and it can really impact our lives in a lot of really unhelpful ways and really hold us back. So I really wanted to talk about in today's video understanding and managing anxiety. So hello, if you don't know me already, I'm Michaela Carpenter. I'm a food freedom coach, and I specialize in helping people really start healing their relationship with food and also healing their relationship with themselves. Anxiety is something that I used to deal with a lot, and it really did hold me back a lot as well in life. It's something that I still obviously have, but it's something I'm able to deal with and cope with a lot better than I have in the past, and it's something I don't allow to hold me back from doing the things I really want to do. So in today's video, I really wanted to talk about this a bit more and how the impact of anxiety can really impact your life and how you can start really changing that. So if this is something you're interested in learning more about, make sure you keep on watching and we will hop straight into it. So first off, understanding anxiety it's really important to really obviously understand why it happens. And a lot of us probably already know, but I really wanted to just kind of put it in here so that if you are a little bit unsure or unclear of what it is, then you have it in here. So basically, anxiety is just a response to feelings like stress and really concern or worry about what's going to happen in the future. It's really future orientated, so it's really that uncertainty that is causing a response in our body, oftentimes a really physical response. There's obviously also the mental, a very mental side of it as well, but that causes a physical response in our bodies, and that can cause us to either not want to do certain things or hold us back, not allow us to do things to the full potential or to the standard or in the way we want to. And it really impacts our lives in that way. And as I kind of said at the start, is that it can really, it impacts, I'd say, the majority of us in some way, but it's to what extreme it's impacting us is the main difference. So, for example, if most people are going to get anxiety when it comes to really extreme circumstances, things that we don't really deal with on a day-to-day basis, and that feel really uncertain for us, most people will get some, even just a little level of anxiety, and whether that's just a bit of an upset stomach or just a little bit of heart racing, that's a really low level of having anxiety. But obviously there's the other extreme where things like social anxiety, where we really struggle to be around other people or do things or go out to even go into shops. That's something I dealt with in my anxiety in the past as well. So yeah, it's really just that response, and when it becomes an issue and really something we acknowledge as anxiety is when it's impacting our day-to-day life, and stopping us, holding us back in some way. So that's a little bit more about anxiety. If you have any questions about it, definitely drop them below. I'm tried to explain it the best I can. Obviously there's different kind of ways of explaining it, different sort of descriptions of it, but that's kind of the general gist of it. First off, identifying triggers is a really important place to start. So whether it's coming from a place of stress or whether it's coming from a fear of uncertainty or some sort of familiar situation that didn't go well in the past and has caused some anxiety when we are addressing it or going into it in the future, it's really important to just really understand what is triggering it, and there could be multiple triggers, there often is, but really understanding what those things are is a really important place to start so we can address those things. So with this being said, here's some practical coping strategies that could help in these situations. So the first one I wanted to talk about is breathing and just really being mindful and present in those moments. So similar to kind of identifying the triggers as well, I think becoming really mindful and starting to really take some deep breaths and grounding ourselves in those moments where we feel really feeling anxious is really important. So just taking some deep breaths, really getting curious in our own mind, like what is upsetting me right now, what is causing me to feel this way, rather than leaving it to be that physiological response that we're feeling. Just really getting a little bit more curious about what's going on so that we can better kind of walk into those situations in the future and know what's going to happen. I also found with myself a lot of, and I don't think I even wrote this in the blog post, but I found with myself really reassuring myself with certain affirmations that I kind of had come up with, and they were kind of basically thoughts that I just keep thinking in those situations was really, really helpful. I used to get, and this was only one side of my anxiety, but this is a really good example, I think, and it was a really helpful situation for me, was when I used to go into exams. I used to get really, really bad anxiety, and I know there are even, I don't know about what it's like in different countries, but there are anxiety things you can kind of take before them, and that's allowed sometimes to help with that. So I think that's definitely a very common place to get anxiety. But I used to really just reassure myself and remind myself that it's okay. The worst case scenario is I'm going to fail the exam. It's not the end of the world. And also just reassuring myself that I have done the study that I've done. I know what I know. I'm just going to go in there with that and knowing that I've done what I've done and I've learned the things that I've learned. It's okay if maybe some questions come up and I don't know it. I'm out of control of that. I'm only in control of the things that I've learned right now and the responses I can give based on that, and that's okay. Any sorts of thoughts that in situations like that really just allow ourselves to really just basically remind ourselves that we're okay, and really I find myself definitely reminding myself about if the worst case scenario happened, what would I do in that situation? What would that actually look like? How bad would that actually be in the grand scheme of things? To be really, really reassuring for myself, and something that a lot of other people really find helpful as well. I'll just give you guys another wee example. So another thing that I used to really struggle with was, like I said, going into shops and really just being around, going to meet other people or going to see other people. I used to really struggle with anxiety with this. So really just reminding myself in those situations the things that I really do know about people. So really, people are more worried about themselves, and even if people are judging me or thinking certain things of me, that's okay. That it's not the end of the world. They can do that. I'm going to be okay regardless. And even if I did have an anxiety attack during that, it's fine. Life would go on. It's not the end of the world. And just reassuring things like that, because a lot of the time when it comes to social situations, I know for myself, I was more worried about looking awkward, being awkward, struggling with my anxiety, which would cause me to really struggle to talk and those sorts of things. And it's kind of ironic, obviously, because that was causing me to be more anxious and feel more that way. So when I really reassured myself and told myself it's okay if I get a little bit shaky and I struggle to find my words a bit, that's okay. These people may or may not judge me on it. At the end of the day, it's fine. Like, they'll forget about it in a week if something did happen, and at the end of the day, I need to just focus on me and what I can control in myself. And that really is helpful. Obviously, this is just a few examples of some of the things that were really helpful, but I definitely think finding your own way of reassuring yourself, or really just getting into a different headspace about situations, is really helpful, and really addressing those thoughts that are coming up in those situations as well. Because if you've seen any of my videos before, you'll know how important and how powerful our thoughts are in the way that we feel. Oftentimes when it comes to anxiety, it's because we are thinking things that are really making us feel that way, feeling really anxious, because we're really worrying about what other people may think, or what may happen, or what won't happen. Those sorts of thoughts are really causing us to feel that anxiety about the future or what's going to happen. So being able to kind of address these things and create different thoughts that are reassuring and helpful in those situations is a really, really powerful thing to do. That is all for that point that I wanted to add into this video as well. Next point that I made is creating a plan, so in a routine. So when we have routine and we kind of know what's happening, this kind of can help us feel more at ease because we know exactly what's going to happen. But with this being said, I think it's really important to be able to plan for things to go wrong or to go the way we're so scared of them going, because when we do this, we prepare ourselves for that worst case scenario that we're really worried about. And by doing this, it really does ease some of that anxiety, because we know that if that did happen, we'd be able to deal with it anyway. And this really puts the power back, gives us the power back to be able to take control of that, and really to not feel as though we wouldn't know what to do in that situation, because we would. And yeah, that is just really helpful in being able to kind of work through the anxiety and really move forward with it and from it. So the next point I definitely had to make is to seek support. So definitely reach out to a health professional or even just friends, family, to really get that support that around the worries that you may have or the things that may be causing the anxiety for you, and really just get a different perspective, and obviously reaching towards people that are going to give that support that you need, not people that are going to be judgy or kind of shove it off. Reaching out towards people that are going to really be helpful and just really kind in those situations is really important, and can really help you feel less alone in your struggles with anxiety as well. The last thing I wanted to add is self-compassion and acceptance. So really being kind towards yourself when you are in those situations where you find you are having an anxiety attack or you're feeling really anxious. Being really gentle with yourself and reminding yourself that it's normal. It is a normal response to situations you may not feel 100% comfortable in, or you may be feeling really uncertain of. It's a very normal response, but your response may be a little bit more extreme than compared to some people, and oftentimes that's coming from those thoughts that you're having. So the people that really don't struggle as much with anxiety are the people that their thoughts aren't the really intense thoughts that you're having around those situations, because they know that it's going to be okay regardless. So really just be gentle with yourself and remind yourself that it is a normal thing, and it's something that you can start to work on and really improve, but knowing that it's always going to be something that's there to some extent. But yeah, this self-compassion and acceptance really helps in building a positive mindset towards things like anxiety and how you address situations and your triggers. So that is all I want to talk about today. Something that is really important and obviously impacts a lot of people. So I really hope you found it helpful. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. And yeah, I post videos every single week, so make sure you subscribe. And I will see you guys next week.